the Ummah of Nabi Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, the world of Islam, and indeed the world at large, is at this moment poised on the brink of a pit of fire. The world is about to change as it has never changed before in history. A more evil world is coming. A world with greater oppression is coming. A world with more intense war on Islam, more sophisticated war on Islam is coming. And all of this on Israel's behalf. So that the Zionists can cause the state of Israel to replace the United States of America as the new ruling state in the world, so that in the same way that Pax Americana replaced Pax Britannica, so too will a Pax Judaica replace Pax Americana. Why is this happening? 11 years ago, I wrote the book entitled Jerusalem in the Quran, which explained that subject. If the scholars of Islam do not, at this critical moment in time, explain the reality of the world in which we now live, explain the world that is coming, and prepare not only Muslims but also mankind who is willing to listen to us. Prepare them how to respond. If we fail, if Islamic scholarship fails, if the scholars of Islam fail, then do remember what Nabi Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam said about Akhirul Zaman, the end time. Non-Muslims would be astonished to hear what he said. Hadith in the Sunan of Bayhaqi, he said, sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam, yushiku ya'ati ala nasi zaman, it will not be long before that time will come. La yabqa min al-Islam illa ismuh, when nothing will remain of Islam but the name. Wa la yabqa min al-Quran illa rasmuh, when nothing will remain of the Quran but the traces of the writing. Masajiduhum amiratun وَهِيَ خَرَابٌ مِنَ الْهُدَى. The masajid will be grand structures, thousands of people in the masjid, but they will be devoid of guidance. And now listen to the last piece. عُلَمَاؤُهُمْ, the ulama of those people at that time, شَرُّ النَّاسِ مِمَّنْ تَحْتَ أَدِيمِ السَّمَاءِ, they would be the worst people beneath the sky. مِنْ عِنْدِهِمْ تَخْرُجُ الْفِتْنَةِ وَفِيهِمْ تَعُودُ, they would be the centers of fitna, which tests and corrupts the people. And so it is necessary for Islamic scholarship at this critical moment to address the reality that confronts us in the world today, and to use the Quran to do that. Since Allah says in the Quran, in Surah An-Nahl, that He sent down this book to perform this function, Tibyanan likulli shay, to explain all things. And it is further necessary for Islamic scholarship to turn to the seerah and the sunnah of Nabi Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, so that we can apply it to this age. For Allah says about the Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam, لَقَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ فِي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ إلى آخر الآية. That He is the perfect model, universally applicable, eternally applicable. Cosmetic Islam cannot do that job. No. Cosmetic Islam is that one in which you go to the masjid and you go back home, and you go to the masjid and you go back home, and you go to the masjid and you go back home. And the same bayan is being repeated over and over and over again for 60, 70 years like clockwork. Cosmetic Islam puts his head in the sand like an ostrich and does not attempt to either study or respond to the world in which we live. And so that cannot succeed in doing the job that we must do. And then there is that Protestant version of Islam, in which there is no critical thinking, no critical thought, how to apply the truth in this age, how to use the Quran to explain the reality of the world today. No, for Protestant Islam, only Allah and His Messenger and the Aslaf, the early Muslims, can explain and interpret. No, Imran Hosein cannot do that, and we will not allow him to do that. But guess what? The world is listening to Imran Hosein, and we say thank Allah for that. Today we address the Sunnah, and we advise and we remind, yes, the beard is a Sunnah, and it is an important Sunnah. Allah did not put the beard on the face of the male by accident. He put the beard on the face of the male with wisdom, so that from a distance we can distinguish who is male and who is female, without having to look at any other part of the body. That's wisdom. And of course, He put the beard on the face of the male so that babies can play with the beard. So if you shave your beard, you're being unjust to your babies. They can't play with the beard anymore. The Sunnah is the clothing that we wear, that is designed to conform to a certain norm of modesty. But this is not the only Sunnah. The Sunnah is how we eat. But this is not the only Sunnah. The Sunnah also includes being aware of the world in which you live. Or to be more precise for today's lecture, to be aware of your strategic environment. And you are engaged in the struggle of truth against falsehood. And the forces of falsehood are always going to attack you. But in the end, truth must vanquish falsehood.